My name is Shonna Chiles.
And what city are you from and currently reside?
I was born in the Bay Area. I grew up in Oklahoma City, and I actually live between both. So between San Francisco and between Oklahoma City.
And that's new, right?
That's super new. I lived in Oakland for the last 3 years. Before that, I lived in South City for 4 years. And then I decided after taking a 6-month sabbatical this year to split my time between where my family is and where my work is.
Let's kind of dig into that 6 month sabbatical.
Yeah, so I started Confidence Fitness, my studio, in 2015 and really hit the grind hard. I mean, some nights I would teach 3 or 4 classes back to back, having taught classes during the day in the public school system or privates during the day with one-to-one clients, and I would have days that were 12 hours long. And I really put myself through this. I mean, I think it's a Bay Area grind. So many people here have to grind, especially in creative arts, to make a living and to make your business something that really sticks in San Francisco, where there's so many new things happening all the time. So I really hit a wall as far as creative burnout. And I had been planning to move to Spain for a year. And when the date rolled around, it was a year later, I didn't go. And so I felt this level of disappointment in myself. And I made a decision New Year's Eve of last year that I was going to relinquish my lease in Oakland when it was up, January 1, and just go. So that was my New Year's resolution. And so that's what I did. My lease was up December 31st. I had a friend in the Bay Area who let me, well, in SF actually, she let me stay with her for a month. And I left on sabbatical in February, and I just got back this past weekend. Yeah. Thanks.
What companies or dance teams do you represent?
Yeah, so Confidence Fitness, it's my studio in San Francisco, and it's our home. I say our because there's so many people that find home here. We've really created a beautiful dance community for people who are primarily non-dancers. So my personal background is I grew up in a competitive studio environment doing dance studio classes, 8 to 12 numbers a year on the competition circuit. So traveling around the Midwest, going to different competitions, nationals in Las Vegas, nationals, ESPN in Florida. So that was my whole life from the time I was 8, I started competing. 3, I started dancing. So from the time I was 8 until 18, I was competing. And then at 18, I tried out for my first NBA team. So I really wanted to move to LA and try out for the Los Angeles Laker girls. That was always a big dream of mine. But my mom had this fear that if I moved to LA when I was 18, it would have eaten me alive. And I actually, now reflecting back on it, appreciate her. As much as I am so bold in my decisions and I hate it when people try to tell me what to do, she was right on that one, because at 18 I had no place, no business being in LA. It would have chewed me up and spit me out. So I wound up auditioning for the Oklahoma City Thunder, made the team, and danced for them from the time I was 18 until I was 20. And then in 2000, I took a break, and then I moved to the Bay Area when I was 20. So that was 2012. So 2013 to 2015, I danced for the Golden State Warriors. So I tried out for Golden State in 2013 and then danced with them until we won the championship in 2015.
Prior to even auditioning for Oklahoma City Thunder, what made you want to pursue that as a career, like dance?
I had been doing it my whole life. For me, it's crazy. I always tell people now, dance has been my one constant. I was 4 years old when my parents divorced, and I was 8 years old when my grandma became really ill and my mom moved us back to Oklahoma City. So that ripped my family apart. My dad was in the Bay Area and my mom took us back to Oklahoma. And so I really had this childhood where I was just back and forth, back and forth. And the one thing that remained constant for me in my life was dance. And, I do appreciate my mom for making sure that that was something that I had through, because life happens, it's like our parents are human just as much as we are, and they go through their trials and tribulations. And so I don't blame my parents for that at all. But my mom, I remember when she went back to Oklahoma City to check on my grandma, to look at houses, and she looked at dance studios. Like, that was one of the first things that she did to make sure that when we got there, we had our constant. So yeah, it was what I always knew. I never quit dancing. From the time I was 3 until now, I've taken 1 year off. And even in that year, I still was taking dance classes. Even now, taking 6 months off from working in this profession since 2012. I've taken 6 months off with like 1 month vacation in between, but this whole 6 months I've been teaching abroad too. So, yeah, it's been really interesting. I tried so hard to stray away from dance. I really did. I went to college for, like a little less than a year, and I changed my major 3 times. Like, I was early childhood education, and then I wanted to be a psychologist, and then I wanted to be in fashion merchandising. And then one day I woke up and I said, why are you running from the one thing that you've always been good at? And that has always been your constant. Like, it's your security blanket. And so I just finally decided to embrace it. And when I did, here I am. So
What would you call, or what would you say, styles of dance that you do?
styles of dance that I do. This is always an interesting question. Like, when I'm walking down the street, I'm like, yeah, I own a dance studio. And people are like, well, what kind of dancing do you teach? And I'm like, oh, I teach really sexy heels classes. But heels is a really popular genre now. When I started in the Bay Area, there were only 2 other classes, maybe one other class besides mine. And it's grown so much here. So, I mean, of course, in LA, it's been a thing for a long time.
I remember when you first had me starting to film those classes, I was like, the only one that I had seen was like Aaliyah's.
Yeah, yeah.
Was another one big.
No, yeah. I mean, there was Marky Martinez has been doing it for a really, really long time at City Dance. She's here now on Fridays.
I've known her for a while. I didn't even know she taught that.
Yep. So she was like, there was her and there was one other woman who was doing it at the time. I mean, there's so much here now, which is a beautiful thing because it's making people comfortable with trying something new. So yeah, that's primarily what I teach now. I'm trained in everything: tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical. I even did Polynesian for a while. I always tell people like what I would say I specialize in is hip hop and jazz. So really, heels is taking hip hop or taking jazz and putting it on a stiletto.
We kind of answered this, but maybe we can go a little bit deeper. But what does dance mean to you?
What does dance mean to me? One thing that I've learned in traveling to teach, which has been really cool, I was fortunate this year to teach workshops in Italy, Tokyo, and Paris. And it doesn't matter. Like, it really is such a physical language that you can feel people's love and you can feel their energy through it, and you can make connections with people through it in a way that doesn't require you to speak the same language. Like, the language that you speak is dance, right? So, I really do feel like dance is a language of love. And I think dance is like a beautiful way for people to connect.
I feel the same way, like with like Reiki. It's like we have a lot of people that come from like all over the world, like to like one event in like LA. It might be a like actual language barrier.
Yeah.
But like when you're in a circle, the exchange is like mutual.
Yeah.
So I've always like, there's this dancer named Pro One. So it's O stands for peace on earth.
Oh, I love that.
And so he's super peaceful. And he had said this one time in like an interview, and he was like, dance is like a universal language, and like he always preaches that like dance can bring peace. And I'm like, I always see that whenever I go to like these large scale events. I'm like, what's up with that?
Well, because everybody there is different.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have people from all over the world and they're connecting over this one thing that they all share a love for, and that's commonplace for them. So it's like, it really is so beautiful. Yeah.
That's amazing. How has or does dance impact your life?
It is my life. I'm like, dance is my life. No, I always say, it's interesting. I always have this conversation, where it's like, dance, like my work isn't who I am, it's what I do. But it's weird when you're an artist because your work is part of who you are as a creative. And so the ideas that live within me, that I'm able to breathe into the studio and able to breathe into events and able to breathe into classes, like that is in essence me. It's the essence of my soul. This studio and this community is me to a T. So while I'm so much more than just a dancer, I think that is a huge component to who I am as a human being. Like, dance is in my DNA. Like, it's just in there.
What has dance given you?
Freedom, more than anything else. And, you know, for me to be sitting here in this space that is mine after being off of work for 6 months, and to look back on my life 7 years ago when I moved to the Bay Area and had $30 in my account, or got kicked out of where I was living and had to sleep in my car, got my car broken into and everything stolen, like things that people don't know about me. They just see this. People see this studio and think that I've snapped my fingers and it appeared, but my life has been a grind. I left a place that was so comfortable for me. You know, Oklahoma City is, I'm so happy to be moving back because now I feel like I have the tools to create something in Oklahoma City as far as a dance community that is receptive, like the dance community here in the Bay Area. Whereas before I didn't have those tools. But San Francisco has drugged me through the mud. And I have pulled myself up so many times and washed myself off. So honestly, like, it has been, I hate it when people say you're so lucky. I'm like, I busted my ass to get here, and this is a blessing. It's my greatest blessing. My freedom and my time and everything that this studio and this community and this space has given me, I can never repay. I can never repay anyone for that.
Exactly why I'm doing this is like people only see what's on the outside.
Yeah.
And I want to show like what's beyond that. Next question is, what have you given or contributed to dance?
What have I given? I'm like, time? No, where it gives it back to me, I've given it a lot of my time. Honestly, I put my heart and soul into everything that I do. And this studio and this community really is, I think I said earlier, a reflection of my soul. And it's a reflection of what I wanted for people that wasn't there for them. You know, it was, okay, I really love this social media teacher. Although, like, this person is a dancer, they're a star, but I'm a fan of them on social media. So I'm going to pay $50 to go and take this class. And I step into this class and I can't keep up. And I'm so discouraged that I decide to just leave. I went to a class and saw that. And for me, I was like, whoa, these are people that want to try. They want to dance. And we shouldn't close people off from our community just because they haven't been doing it their whole life. You know, so I grew up in a very competitive world. Dance is super competitive, and I wanted to take that element out of it. So I do feel like what I've given to dance in the Bay Area and now all over the world, which is so cool to say, is a space for anyone to try. It's like, it's literally a space for dance to be a universal language for all people. I had a woman say to me today, which this is probably my favorite part of my job. She said, when I walked into this room, I felt about down here. She said, I've been going through some health issues and I didn't know what to expect when I walked into class today. And I just want you to know that I'm leaving here in such high spirits. And that was one of the most fun things I've ever done for myself. That's all I want for people. You know, I just want people to have fun.
That's like probably more rewarding than like actually having to pay for the class.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, that's what I want. I just want to touch people because I do feel like every person in this world is given a gift. And dance is one of my gifts. And I just want to share it with people.
Can you share one moment from your dance life that is most impactful or influential to who you are today?
Oh, wow. There are so many moments. So many moments. Honestly, opening the studio. I I opened the studio when I was 22 years old, and to have the amount of people gravitate towards something that was just a seed in my mind has been the most rewarding thing for me. Um, my professional dance career was wonderful, but it doesn't hold a candle to what I'm doing now. Um, yeah, that would be it. Just creating this space for people, opening the studio, creating this space, starting the community. That has been my biggest gift.
Let's dig deeper into studio.
This studio started as one dance class. It was called Don't Worry Beyonce's, and it happened on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. at Republic, which is unfortunately no longer in existence. One of my really good friends, Gabby, she opened it as a boutique fitness studio. No, it was in the marina. Cardio Tone was downtown. Yep. So, I had never taught an adult dance class before. I've been teaching kids at this point since 2010, but kids and adults are two very different creatures. Um, kids are easier to teach than adults are. Yeah, they don't have any inhibitions. They're not afraid. So, and bizarrely enough, I lacked the self-confidence. I thought I wasn't good enough to teach other people. Given the fact that I had already danced for two NBA teams prior to that, I had booked other jobs, I had had this career, I'd been dancing my whole life. I didn't think I had it in me. It is. And so I just said, hey, can I come teach a dance class here? She said yes. And the first class had 11 people in it. By the fifth class, there were 50 people. I was teaching back to back classes. I mean, because we just couldn't fit that many people in the studio. So it was like 50 people. And then what we started doing was there was a class at 11 and there was a class at 12. And so from there, I found some really awesome human beings and was like, hey, let's make this a brand. Can you guys teach two classes? And it just spawned. It spawned into a studio. Like, it's been such a blessing. Yeah, but that's been that. On the flip side, I run specialty workshops at Google. I also run youth programs. Well, I have for the last 7 years in Daly City Public Schools. And then I was a teacher at Gateway High School last year, the dance teacher. I piloted their dance program. Yeah, I used to work very well. I still do. We're actually hoping to I piloted the program for Movement Foundation. They're a nonprofit that brings body positive curriculum to middle school and high school girls through movement. So I would teach dance during lunch and then teach them the curriculum too. So they're all over the country now. We're trying to work on how we can get them in Oklahoma City public schools. So yeah, the dance world is wide. Um, there's lots of opportunities to work if you want it.
With all the classes and like you talk about like having these like 12-hour work days, but it sounds like it's gonna be more than 12 hours because like obviously you have to create the choreo.
Yeah, you do. So it's like my life, my business is in my head. That's one thing about being an entrepreneur is you don't have an office. Like I can't just be like, okay, the workday is done. I'm gonna leave this stuff here and go home. And I know a lot of people in the Bay Area now, like that's not the case for them either in tech, but you don't have an off switch. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is finding balance between having a social life and a personal life and a life at home where I'm at home, and then being this crazy workaholic that's like, oh, but this would be cool, you know? Outside of dance, well, I guess I could talk about a lot of things. So, one of the coolest things I did this year, was cultivate a space to host dance and yoga retreats. So I, as part of my sabbatical, went to India and got yoga certified. So in Hatha and Vinyasa, and I met this super badass woman named Milan, who is a doula, which is a birth coach. And so she specializes in postpartum. Yeah, so moms who have just had babies, helping them get the support that they need. She takes them through their whole pregnancy, but then stays with them after as well. And so she's really educated on like women's reproductive health, womb wisdom, which goes like so in line with what I do in the women's empowerment realm with confidence. Obviously, we're a space for everyone, but I do a lot of stuff geared towards women. So she and I banded together to start a retreat company called Golden Goddess Getaways. And we hosted our first retreat in Bali, and we're hosting our second retreat in Jamaica in October. So I have made it a goal for myself to host 4 retreats a year. So that's been a really beautiful thing, because on the flip side, travel is my second baby. Where dance is my first, travel is my second. Travel feeds my soul in a way that it's like, if I could put dance and travel together, perfect career. And I've been able to do that this year, both through teaching workshops and through the retreats. So I love to travel. I love to cook. I used to do this thing where I'd take 2 cooking classes a month. Haven't done that in a while. Yeah. What else do I like to do? Spend time with my family, which is why I'm moving home part time, because my mom and my sister are in Oklahoma City. My niece and nephew are 15 and 7. So my niece is 7, my nephew's 15. And I just feel like I need to be there for them. I've been gone for 7 years. So my niece was 6 months when I moved. And it's time for me to be present in their lives. And I'm in a space now where my work allows me to have a lot more time to spend with them. My dad bought a house in Atlanta too, so he's back that way. He sold his house out here. So it's just like, I need to be splitting my time.
Last question is, what is next for you in this dance life?
What is next for me in this dance life? So much. Balance is key. I learned that on my sabbatical. I also learned a lot about relinquishing control, as far as learning to delegate things to other people so that I can make space in my psyche to not be creatively burned out. Taking sincere time for myself, so off of social media, away from the studio. It's like just really making sure that you keep your mental and emotional health in order while you're running a business. And also, I think this goes for anyone, just looking at your life and saying, am I grinding to grind, or am I grinding to mask all of the other shit that I need to be dealing with? And I found through 6 months of not working that rather than dealing with a lot of emotional issues that had been occurring in my life over the last 7 years, I just stuffed it and worked, which is great, for your business, but it's not good for you. And so I think, that's one thing that I'm really challenging myself for now, is balance. And in doing that, it's splitting my life and my time between San Francisco and Oklahoma City in a way that allows me to still do what I love, but to do it in a way that's manageable.
And it definitely felt like, well, for me, it felt like a new you was here.
Yeah, you're the second person to say that to me.
And like, you didn't even look at me. I was like, still like looking for you, and I was just like, it's here. It's somewhere. Oh, different hair.
It's blue. Yeah, it's weird. I was supposed to dye my hair pink.
What made you change it to blue?
So while I was in Thailand, I studied Reiki and crystal healing. I'm really big into crystals. It's so funny. I literally had the thought before I got on camera. I was like, I took all of my rings off this morning to charge them. My necklace broke this weekend. The necklace that I had on when I was dancing, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sit here and talk about being a crystal buff, and I have none of my crystals on me. It's cool. So I actually got into energy work like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. I dreamt of crystals, and I had never seen them before. I had never worked with them before. And so it spawned this almost obsession. When you ask what I'm into besides dance, I became fascinated by them and what they are and how they work and how energy works and just how you can change your mindset in your life through energy work. And so I started on a path of studying that in addition to running the studio. So I got into studying crystals, and I took an apprenticeship in the city under a really awesome Reiki practitioner, and just kind of like she was teaching me about base level spirituality and like getting into Reiki and things like that. And then when I left for India, I went through my whole yoga thing, and then in Thailand, I decided to take a course and study. It was a month Reiki, crystal healing, and like Thai massage. But I don't really use the Thai massage. I just use pieces of it when I'm healing people. Like I would never be like, I'm a Thai masseuse. Like I would be like, I'm an energetic wellness practitioner, and like we might get a head massage. Like, so yeah, so that's been really dope. Yeah, so I forgot what the question even was that spawned this. What's next for me? So that's what's next. So I'm adding in my energetic wellness work in addition to my dance. So, but I'm limiting my availability, which isn't something that I've done before. Um,
Kind of like worked yourself to a point where you can make yourself
yeah,
more less available but more wanted,
right.
which is dope.
And so that's the goal. The goal is to have my community and my client base in San Francisco, my community and client base in Oakland City, and around the world. Now it's like I taught in Tokyo, and they're like, we'd love to have you back. And I'm like, anytime. I love it here. I'm obsessed. Oh, my hair. That's what started the conversation. So basically I was supposed to dye it pink. I don't know what made me want to dye it pink. I wanted to dye it pink. And then the night before I'm supposed to dye it pink, I'm like texting my hairstylist. I'm like, I'm not really feeling pink. I think I'll just keep it blonde. And then the morning I'm supposed to go, I wake up, and at this time my nails were blue. I had just bought this blue sweater. I had on a blue tank top, and I was like, I'm really feeling blue right now. And so, in energy work, blue is the color for your throat chakra. And your throat chakra is your center for speaking your truth, standing in your truth, communication. And so I feel like in this realm of my life, coming back from the sabbatical, having cultivated this balance, learned all these things about myself, I'm really being called to stand in my truth and speak my truth. And that's why my hair's blue. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Real quick, just to the camera, maybe let them know where they can find you.
Yeah. You can find me on the interwebs at Hippie High Heels, HIPPY High, HIGH Heels, like healing, HEALS. That's my personal Instagram. I have a blog. That's where I do the energetic work. That's where the retreats go through. And then for the studio, it's at Confidence, like the word confidence with an A, or this lovely sign, fitness. So just at Confidence Fitness.